Come closer, come closer. What happened to me? I got shot, man. Luckily my rifle plate stopped it, but man, my chest is killing me, my top half of my body's killing me, my head's killing me. Man, I was just doing patrol, and all of a sudden a shot rang out, and man, it just knocked me backwards, knocked the breath out of me. I guess whoever it was that shot me, guess he thought he killed me, because I looked up when I kind of came to and he was walking towards me, so I just raised my rifle and fired, and man, he just dropped. But I made sure that he was dead. But man, now my chest, my whole upper body's killing me, my head's killing me. Man, this hurts. In the scenario video that you just watched, our character got shot in his rifle plate. And luckily that rifle plate stopped that bad guy's round. But unfortunately, our character is still in a lot of pain from where that round did hit his rifle plate. And besides the pain in his body, he also has a screaming headache now, which is a common symptom of an adrenaline dump, which is something that you typically experience in a life or death situation like that. So in a grid down situation where our character just can't run to the doctor or to a pharmacy for some painkillers, let's make our own natural painkiller from a plant that grows common here across the United States. In fact, there's one right down there. And the plant that we're going to be using today is called wild lettuce, and a lot of people call this opium lettuce. And by the way, if you are watching this video on YouTube, you should go over to Rumble. Rumble is a video platform just like YouTube, but a lot more prepping channels are going over to Rumble because Rumble does not censor us like YouTube does. So to find my channel on Rumble, just go to rumble.com and type in ethical preparedness in the search bar. Anyways, let's get back to this awesome plant. Wild lettuce has a lot of nicknames out there like poor man's opium or lettuce opium. And while it does have narcotic-like effects on you, it is not addictive. It does not contain any opium. And from my research, there has been no documented deaths from overdose deaths from this plant. In fact, in this video, I am going to drink some of the medicine that we're going to make from this on video so that you can see it doesn't kill me. Now, there's several different varieties of wild lettuce, at least here in the United States of America, and I believe this is the Canada wild lettuce variety. But whether it's the Canada variety or one of the other varieties, from my understanding, they all can be used pretty much interchangeably for homemade pain medicine. Hey, if you would like a free PDF that tells you step by step how to make the off-grid prepper medicine that we are making in today's video, then comment down below with yes please, and I will do my absolute best to get that free PDF to you. Now let's get back to the video. Now let's talk about how we identify wild lettuce, and pretty much all wild lettuce will share these same traits. Their leaves itself might look a little different, but all wild lettuce, from my understanding, will share these same traits I'm getting ready to point out to you. One of the first things that I look for when I see what I think is wild lettuce is I look to see if it has little bitty spines on the bottom midrib of the leaf. And the reason why I look for those is because that is a very common trait among wild lettuce. That is one of the things that kind of sets them apart from a lot of other kind of prickly looking plants. Simply put, if you find another prickly looking plant and you look at the bottom and you see either a bunch of hair or you don't see any little spines at all, then that means that you do not have wild lettuce. Now, not every single leaf on this plant is going to have those little spines sticking off the midrib, but quite a few of them will. Another thing that I look for is that each leaf actually goes all the way down to the main stem and actually almost kind of wraps around or comes out of the main stem itself. A lot of other plants, you'll have the stem and then the foliage of the leaf itself, whatever that part's called, will then start developing. But with wild lettuce, the leaf always goes down to the actual main stem itself. And then another big thing that I always look for is that with wild lettuce, and this happens with other plants too, but with wild lettuce, when you cut it, you will see like a milky latex substance start coming out of the stem. Now, like I said just a second ago, there are other plants out there that have that milky latex sap that comes out of them. Dandelions is a good example. But when you add in that milky latex sap, plus you also add in the little spines that run along the bottom midrib of the leaf, plus you add in the fact that these leaves are coming all the way to the main stem. Once you combine all of those, then you almost for certainly have a wild lettuce. Now, the reason why our character in that opening scenario video that you saw could use a plant like this is because it contains lactucin and also lactusopricin, I think that's how it's pronounced, but both of those are compounds that have pain relieving properties. Also, they have a little bit of a sedative effect on you. So if you're having trouble sleeping in a grid down situation, besides taking care of a headache, this will also help you sleep. And just for reality check here, while this does have a lot of nicknames like poor man's lettuce and opium lettuce, from my understanding, I've never done opium before, but from my understanding, this does not have nearly as a strong effect on you as like opium does. So what we are going to learn how to make today is going to be a pain-killing decoction. And just to make it simple, a decoction is like a really strong tea. We're going to make a decoction that we would be able to drink in a grid down situation that would help kill our headache or help chill us out or whatever is needed. And another thing to keep in mind is that a decoction or a tea made from this is not going to be as strong as a medicinal tincture would be. And my understanding is that some of these compounds that you need in this plant can only be extracted from the plant via alcohol. So if you're using only water like you would in a decoction, you're not going to get as much of the compounds out of this plant. But I want to do a decoction because in a grid down situation, you may not have access to something like vodka to make that tincture with. Now I'm going to harvest this one that's over here because I had several big, beautiful ones that I was going to actually use in today's video, but some darn deer beat me to them this morning and ate the tops off of a whole bunch of them that's just right over just a few feet that way. So we're going to use this one here. So again, I'm going to cut this just about a foot off of the ground. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to strip the leaves off because what I am really after here is I am after the latex, and the stem has just the biggest concentration of that latex in it. Now, wild lettuce has two growing stages. The first year they remain kind of low to the ground, more of a floret stage, and then the second year of growth, they grow really tall, and I like to harvest these right before they go to flower because my belief is that right before it goes to flower, all the energy is still in the stalk here and not in the flowers themselves. So again, I like to harvest these again right before they go to flower. All right, now since we have ourselves some wild lettuce stalks, let's get on with this. Now the first thing that I am going to do is I'm going to inspect these for any bugs, any dirt, anything like that. And these are clean enough for us to move on to our next step. And then the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to stick some of these in my herb drying rack. Let me spread them out here. So that way that these can dry so that I can use these at a later time because, hey, you might get a headache in the middle of winter time when this stuff isn't growing. Okay, the next step that we're going to do is we're going to cut up what we're going to use for this decoction into really small pieces. Again, it's that latex sap that's inside of the stalk that we're after. And now our next step is that we are going to bring 1.5 cups of water to a boil. And now we are going to add 2 tablespoons of this to our boiling water. So now we're just going to let it simmer for the next 20 minutes. Not boil, but just simmer. That way the hot simmering water can extract all the good stuff out of the plant. Okay, now since this has simmered over the fire for 20 minutes, I am now going to strain the wild lettuce from the hot water using this handy dandy little mesh strainer here to remove the vegetation from my decoction. Okay, I don't know if you can tell it or not, but that changed from a crystal clear water to this really light yellow colored decoction. Now, like I say in every one of my videos, I do not do hot drinks very well, so I'm not going to be able to drink this immediately. I am getting ready to drink it on camera so you can see it doesn't kill me, but I am going to give it a few minutes before I drink this. But while we are waiting for this to cool, I do want to remind you, I did write this book here. It's got hundreds of pages of recipes just like you're seeing us do today. So whether you have a headache or high blood sugar or high blood pressure, or just whatever kind of element that you're worried about going into a grid down situation with, you can find many of those in this book. Right now, this book is, I think, 25 bucks, and I'll put a link to it down below. You can check it out if you want to. And just a reminder, there is nothing in this book that you can't find yourself. But if you want to save yourself hundreds and hundreds of hours and have it all in one place, again, I'll put a link to it down below. Okay, now since this has had a few more minutes to cool down, so it's not gonna scorch my throat as I drink it, I'm gonna drink this whole thing on video so you see it doesn't kill me. So down the hatch. A little sloppy there, sorry about that. There really was hardly any taste to it at all. If anything, it had a really, really slight grassy taste to it, but just barely. If it were a grid down situation where I had to drink this, if I had a headache or body aches or something like that, it would not bother me to drink this. Now let's talk dosages. If I just had a headache, I would drink 1 cup of this, maybe 2 cups, if it was a really, really bad headache. And then if I had just like a really achy body because I had worked really hard the day before or something like that, I would drink this 3 times a day until my body aches went away. So now I want to hear from you. What other common ailments do you think that we would have in a grid down situation that you would like to see me cover in these videos where I use just everyday trees and plants and weeds to make medicines with? Comment down below with your request. And to see a whole playlist where I am making a bunch of different medicines just like this, then click on the video that should be appearing on the screen just about now to learn what most other preppers don't know. Anyways, folks, this is enough internet for me today. I do need to get back to work. And folks, if you made it this far, hey, thank you very much for watching, and I pray that you have a good night.